Thank you, Steve, for your great talk. It's really impressive to combine in one technology or one solution AI with gaming theory, with blockchain, and with the DevOps and the solutions is very impressive. Thank you. And we see that more and more we have solutions, or we have technologies that combine the idea of collaboration. And we really believe today that there are several aspects of collaboration. We spend the morning talking about collaboration, and I invite you to watch a TED Talk about several aspects of collaboration that I shared, from the idea of collaborating together in the development process, and as well as doing kind of a collaboration within ecosystems like the one in Beersheba that was mentioned here several times, and other aspects of collaboration, of course, collaboration in sharing threats and sharing relevant incidents. So with that, I would like to invite our next speaker, who is my colleague that we meet in several stages all over the world. So I want to invite Mr. Mark Gazit, the CEO of ThetaRay. Please.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's really great to be here, not for the first time. It's my pleasure to manage a company called ThetaRay. We are an artificial intelligence company, and we use artificial intelligence to identify the unknown unknowns, the threats that we don't really expect, but probably the most devastating threats. But let me share with you some things that people have already mentioned. You know, on one hand, there is a huge amount of data. Everything is connected. That's what this conference is about. Everything is accessible through cyber means and other means. Just a quick statistic that I loved, 4.3 connected devices for every person in 2020. And every 2 days we create more data that we created from the beginning of the world till the year of 2003. But there is a paradox here, anomaly, because all the data is accessible. Financial institutions, for example, have amazing controls, great computation systems, and still we keep hearing that these guys are losing money, mainly to financial crime. We call it cyber financial crime. Whether it's Deutsche Bank that was fined by hundreds of millions of dollars, or HSBC that was fined by billions of dollars, it seems like they cannot protect themselves anymore. And since the subject of this panel is shaking up defense strategies, let me share with you why those strategies don't work, and then I will tell you how we in ThetaRay and other companies in the AI space solve the problems. So first of all, it happens because the world of financial crime has changed forever. Today, people will not really go to a branch of a bank and try to shoot in there. By the way, it still happens in Hollywood movies. But in reality, they will put a server in some remote country. The server will run some sort of simple AI and will steal $25 from a bank account. Nobody will complain, especially if this transaction is called an iTunes transaction or App Store transaction. But it's a computer. It will do it hundreds of millions of times in a row. After 1 month, they will take $20, $30 million, disconnect the link, disappear, and nobody will find them again. In 2017, fraud is considered to be about $16 billion. And it's even more severe than that, because it's not only that money being stolen. This money is used to finance terrorist activities, narco traffic, human trafficking. We call it money laundering, but it's actually threatening lives. Again, quick statistics. It's believed that 3 to 5% of the GDP, global GDP, which is about $2 to $3 trillion, is money that's being laundered. And again, nobody today comes with a suitcase full of cash and try to launder the money in a bank. It's all done remotely. It's all done through connected devices. And we look at the markets, and it really doesn't matter if it's financial institutions, or airline companies, or even industrial organizations, they all suffer from the same problem. On one hand, they have to be connected. You will not go and work with a bank that doesn't allow you to have remote banking activities. The complexity of data becomes more and more complex and difficult. And on the other hand, they have a big pressure to lower their costs and increase efficiency. Bad guys, on the other side, become more sophisticated. Sometimes it's governments. They don't have any restrictions. They have huge budgets. And by the way, there is no regulation for bad guys. They can do whatever they want. So the world is going through a transformation. Everybody has to be connected. What do you do? And by the way, when we talk about the new world of financial crime, it's a lot. It's cryptocurrency, money laundering, ATM fraud, online fraud. I will teach you how to steal money from ATMs in a few minutes that we have. And existing systems do not work anymore. Because if you think about it, most of the solutions today are still based on rules, thresholds, signature, behavior analysis, models, but it's all looking for the past and trying to predict the future. It doesn't work anymore. One of the Israeli heads of the Israel National Bank once said that predictions are very, very difficult, especially when you try to predict the future. It's difficult. And by the way, even the new technologies like neural networks, they're still limited. It's still machine learning. You still need to teach it. So we show a neural network 1 million pictures of a butterfly. It identifies all types of butterflies in the world. But show it a snake or a scorpion, it will miss it, because nobody showed the system how a scorpion looks like. Or in other words, today banks cannot take the risk of non-detecting a fraud. So what they do will do what they call anomaly detection. Basically, tell me anything that is not a butterfly. And then they have 99.5% false alarms, which is for one true false alarm, they have 200 false alarms. I don't know if it ever happened to you that you travel all around the world and suddenly your credit card doesn't work, right? And then you get a phone call from a bank. Is it really you? This is a false alarm. Costs a lot of money to the banks, a lot of frustration to you guys. And by the way, the real threats are not coming from the areas that we expect. The real threats are usually coming from the places that we expect the least or don't expect at all. And even if we manage to build something that is working based on past decision or lessons we learned, the pace of change is so high that it's almost impossible to follow up. And just before coming to the solution, this is a story that was shared with me by one of the CEOs of the largest banks in the world, and they said they feel like they come with knife to a gunfight. Or this is a picture, I don't know if it's true, by the way, about allegedly a Polish army that had the best horses in the beginning of last century, the best muskets, and they tried to fight German tanks. Wasn't a good outcome for that fight for Polish guys. So they're really looking for this helicopter, Apache helicopter, that will hover around, above and will help them to win this war. And that's what we do. So we decided to use artificial intelligence that, by the way, was developed in this university by Professor Averbuch. So if you have questions, don't come to me, come to Professor Averbuch, he's here. And our artificial intelligence systems is installed in the bank. It analyzes business data that exists in the banks, financial transactions, KYC, know your customer data, etc., and then automatically identifies the problems and present them to our customers in a way that is very intuitive, very easy to understand, and very easy to act upon. And the system, the artificial system, is very different. Unlike existing systems that try to learn from the past, our system is more like a human brain, the ancient human brain. It knows how to teach itself. Think about a child. You send a child to a new school. Very fast, your kid will understand which kids are good guys and which kids are bad guys. Or you drive a car. Even if you don't understand anything about engines, if you're totally illiterate about mechanical engineering, but you hear a noise, you will immediately identify that something wrong is going on with your car. It's very easy for us humans. It was very difficult for machines. We are happy to be able to introduce this artificial intelligence. Sometimes people call it intuitive AI or subconscious AI. Mathematicians sometimes call it unsupervised machine learning. The name is not interesting. What's interesting is actually the use cases. And let me share with you two examples, and we have more. One of the largest banks in the world installed our system, they had 120,000 alerts every year, 10,000 alerts a month. Just by installing an artificial intelligence system, they reduced the number of alerts to 4,000, and then the system reduced it to 40. But it's not only that we identified everything that the existing system identified before. Our system identified it on average 70 days before the actual attempt to commit a crime and to take money out of the bank happened. In many cases, our system found it, when we looked historically, 10 months before the regulator found it. And by the way, when the regulator finds a problem, banks get punished. And by the way, one of the use cases is a chain of terrorist funding that our system discovered after it was lurking in a bank for years. Another one is ATM fraud. How many of you heard about ATM jackpotting? Just checking. Cool, a lot of you. How many would like to learn how to do it so you can? Great. So it's extremely easy. You know, ATMs today are not a financial device anymore. It's an IoT device connected to the internet. Go to any shop, 7-Eleven shops in the United States, or any shop here, it's connected to the net. And it's a small computer, usually running Windows XP on Windows CE. And then there is a safe. Within the safe, there is a cassette with the money and motor called dispenser. And what hackers found, that it's very easy to hack the computer. And when you hack the computer, you are connected to the ATM from the world. You put your server, again, in some remote country. And every time you push a button somewhere in the world, money coming out of the hole in the wall on Dizengoff Street, on Broadway Street. And by the way, these guys are very smart, so they will never steal more than 5 notes from the ATM. It's organized crime. And usually there are 10,000 notes in the ATM, so people don't really pay attention. They erase all the traces, and they shut down the camera. Perfect crime. The only disadvantage is that you need local money mules that will collect the money. And by the way, I don't know if it sounds like science fiction for you, but over $1 billion in reality was stolen using these techniques. Luckily for us, last month, Europol published a press release showing exactly how it was done. 100 banks in 14 countries just in Europe. Over $1 billion have been stolen this way. You can try it at home. No, don't try it at home. So just to summarize, bad guys are using artificial intelligence, and they're very smart. But we can do the same. And if I just look at the results, real results that our customers experience, it's not only we have a match detection rate, it's not only we discover between 3 to 6 times more issues on average than existing systems, but we do it with level of false alarms that is usually 100 times lower than existing solutions. And that's why large banks like Citi, Santander, and others, OCBC, decide to work with the Israeli AI technologies. And because of the nature of artificial intelligence and the system that it teaches itself, you don't need to maintain it, you don't need to teach it. It's what they call rule-free, non-heuristic, teaches itself all the time. So, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I hear a lot of scrutiny about artificial intelligence. It will endanger the world. Machines are so powerful. It's all true. And by the way, bad guys are using those powerful machines. But I believe that we have the obligation to enroll and to make sure that we use artificial intelligence to help us to fight with the bad guys. And I believe that if we do it in the long run, bad guys will always win. So I have a real pleasure to run a company that uses artificial intelligence to make this world of connected devices a much, much safer world. Thank you very much.